Hi everyone, my name is Emily and I am a Senior Product Manager at Outfittery. And today I would like to talk to you about stress and how that affects you as a product manager, essentially your product, but also your customers, your colleagues, and definitely yourselves. And hopefully give you a few tips on how we can change and be even better at our jobs and as people that we might be from the before. So my story starts as everybody else's. I was born. This happened to me to be in Stockholm, Sweden, where everything is perfect all of the time, and if it's not, people get quite stressed about it. So it's an interesting place to grow up. When you do grow up, you're supposed to have really good grades in school, and you should play at least one instrument and definitely be good at least one sport, preferably be in some sort of club or something. And you should also have tons of friends and have a lot of fun experience together with these guys. So when you're done at school, with your good grades, you should then start your perfect career earning with just the right amount of money, because it's in Sweden, so it's just lagom. And your home needs to be picture perfect for any glossy interior magazine to walk through that door any time of the day, taking pictures of your beautiful home, because we all know that that's how it works. Your friends and family are happy and gorgeous, always Instagram ready, and you are working out in the newest trend, whatever that might be. You definitely go see all the new exciting places. Might it be a gallery, might it be a restaurant, whatever suits your boat. You need to be the perfect employee, always hungry, always motivated, always ready to go and get it. And you need to be the perfect partner, romantic and all that. You need to be the perfect friend, always ready to do that chat, and the perfect kid to your parents. And if you have kids, the perfect parent to your kids. At some point, I ended up leaving Sweden and ended up in Berlin a few years ago, and thought maybe things were different here. Maybe this is just a Swedish thing. Realizing pretty quickly that this is not the case. We're running to catch life here. It's up and away, and it's always fast paced moving forward. And you might ask why I'm talking about this. Why is this interesting for us as product managers? I mean, especially who care about my history and upbringing. But I'm making a point here, and that is that we are all in the same boat, because we are all forced into a society where high achievement, there's always growth on the map, and there's always new things, more things, better things, and things are rarely enough as they are. So this is important that we know this as product managers, because I've been a product manager for 3 years, a little bit more. And I mean, we all know that this is a very slow pace, one thing at a time kind of job, talking to one person at the day, and it's very relaxed. Not in a million years. So this is why we need to be aware that stress is something that everybody carrying with them, with or without being product managers. But we are definitely in the center of a stressful place in the company. So what is our job actually? I would probably see it as we are the leaders of the product vision, and we use the customer's voice as the primary guiding light here. So always listening to the customer and always making sure that we're doing the right thing at the right time. And we do this by giving direction and focus to both our team, but also to the whole business. Meaning that we let everybody know all of the time where we're going and why we're going there, and trying to keep track on things. And this is, we do this by keep telling the story over and over again, keeping everybody aligned. And for this to actually be able to happen, we need to be able to listen to the story from all different angles within the company. And we need to be able to make decisions from that point, with trusting our guts in that feeling. And we need to be able to be creative on how to solve problems A to B, X to Y, whatever that might be, what KPIs to use, and what is the best approach to this problem. So we need to always be able to solve these problems, and our mind needs to be ready to do that. And that also demands that we need to stay calm in stressful situations. There is no other way to do this. And I mean, I know for a fact that I have days where I am in meetings the whole day, still needing to be on Slack and answering messages and answering emails, because there's always KPIs to reach. There's always stakeholders to explain situations to. There's always developers that needs motivation and extra explanations or whatever. And there's this ping from the stakeholder asking, when is this going to be released? The release wasn't done, something broke, you need to roll back, you're waking up in the middle of the night, and then you're asking yourself, is this the right way to go? Are we doing the right thing in the right order? Did I talk to all of these people, or is this actually a better idea? And there's so many things, because I'm completely caught in trying to do it all at once. So what is this state of high achieving, high stress, always moving forward, never really slowing down, and it's 42 billion things at the same time? What is this? What is this actually? So it's actually called the sympathetic nervous system, and this is our fight and flight mode. This is a brilliant thing that our body has within itself as a natural thing that allows us to stay alive. So this means that, let's say that you're walking casually down the street and you're crossing the corner, and there is a tiger jumping out of nowhere, and he's stating he's going to eat you. You need to make a quick decision if you're going to punch him in the face or if you're going to get running. I wouldn't recommend to get running, but you do. And that quick reaction allows our body to react and do the right thing. It also physically shut down all the things that we don't need. So, for example, we do not need to digest that Pokeball we had for lunch. We do not need to build muscle mass. None of these things at that exact moment when we need to run from a tiger or fight the tiger. So this is brilliant. This is exactly how the body should work. And this is something that is to be expected. And then we stop here. So what happens then is that your body is focusing on the essential, meaning in this case would be pumping blood to your hands and your arms and your legs to be able to run as fast as you can. And your brain simply is focusing on survival and nothing else. This is really what is happening. And the problem that we have here is that we're triggering this far too often. We're triggering this in our daily life, where we have, fortunately, quite rarely life-threatening situations. So, for example, that ping, that message, that stress that you get, or you're running late for a meeting, surely very, very disturbing and very irritating for all of us involved, but highly life-threatening, rarely life-threatening. And what happens here is then, when you're constantly in this sympathetic nervous system, is that your body never gets to rest. Your mind never gets to rest. So your body will start to eat itself, literally, because you're not hungry, because your metabolism is shut off, because you need to run and you need to fight, and your brain is never getting anything new happening because it's just on high alert all of the time. So yes, this all sounds very terrible, and it's yes. I mean, you will start eating yourself, and your muscles will start to wither. These are things that will happen if you stay too long. But of course, it's an exaggeration. It's not going to happen over 2 days of stress. But we are living in a society, and we all have careers that applauds this type of go get it. You should do it all. You should think about 42 things at the same time, and you should like multitask, and you should reach for the stars, and you should do all of these things. And that is something that is simply not working in the long run. There are a few things that we should know about these things. So, for example, multitasking is not real. You're actually not able to do more than one thing at a time. Your brain is just really good at firing signals fast so you can switch context. So maybe you have realized, or maybe you've been in a meeting when you're actually sitting and answering emails at the same time, because you're actively listening and you're capable of doing this, and then suddenly you lost the track and you don't know what's going on in the meeting, or they made a decision that you're not aware of, or you've been in the meeting but this has been done to you when you're leading the meeting. because we're not properly listening. And this is the same for all people. It's not just us or not just anybody. There's no person who's able to think about more things at a time. So as product managers, we need to take responsible and create environments when people are allowed to not multitask, so they can actually focus on one thing at a time and be as good as they absolutely can be. But just for a quick test here, so let's try it. Try to think about what you're going to eat the next time, if it's lunch, dinner, or breakfast. And at the same time, think about what you are going to, or what you're wearing. So at the exact same time, food and what you're wearing. Maybe you feel like you're doing it at the same time, but you're not, because it's just ping pong, ping pong, ping pong. You're not, like, they're not exactly at the same time. So this is the real thing about multitasking, and we should very much create environments where this is not something that is expected or even praised, since it's based on not truth. Another terrifying thing is that a stressed brain is not creative. When we are under stress, or when we're stuck in this sympathetic nervous system, we are actually, our brain is high wired, so it takes the most common paths in the brain. It doesn't need to get creative on how to run. It just needs to run. It doesn't need to invent a new style of running when you're running from a tiger. So basically what happens in our brain, and this is also one of the brilliant part of our bodies, is that when you do things often, your brain starts to connect these often paths, these common paths, and they actually get wider in your brain. So it's easier for them to connect to each other. This is also how you get good at something. So practice makes perfect, or close to perfect, or whatever. And this is something that is really cool. So imagine that you do things a lot and then you get good at it. But that also comes from the bad things. So under stress, your brain takes the common path. So you're using that same KPIs always, because that's just your go-to thing. And you never actually sat down and let your brain come up with something else. That question that you always ask a customer in an interview, that is actually not the one that you should ask to get enough information out. So all of these things are just paths that our brain takes for survival. So coming to that, not letting our brain take a break, is actually blocking our creativity. So why should we care about these things? And I mean, we like our busy lifestyles. We like to be in the center of everything. I mean, we're product managers for a reason, right? But we're actually doing harm, and we can not trust our gut, because physically their body is not completely working. So the gut feeling, I would doubt that it's going to give you the straight answer that you need. And we do not listen. So imagine that you are you're super stressed and you're running late to catch a train. And you're asking someone for direction, and they say go up, go down, go straight, go left, go down, go back again, because you're on Alexanderplatz and it's really messy, and then you have to circle back around, and then you can catch the U8. You say thank you, and then you start running, and coming after 2 instructions, you realize that you completely forgot what this person said. This is what happens in our brain when we think that we're listening, but we're doing other things at the same time, or we're on high alert. Our brain is just not functioning properly. So, and then lastly here, then we're killing our creativity. We're simply following the safe paths in our brain, and we're not going to come up with any of these creative, fun solutions that we might need to actually serve our customers the best. So we should care about this, because we're basically doing bodies to ourselves, to our other colleagues, because we're stressing them out, to our customers, and then also at the end of the day, our product. On the flip side, so there is another side to this. But before we go into this, I would like all of you to do a little experiment with me and see what happens. So simply take 3 breaths, 3 inhales, or 1 inhale, 1 exhale, and 3 of those. And then I will start to discuss things a little bit more on what's happening here. So get ready. And just try to focus on the actual breath, how it feels, nothing else. So maybe something happened to you here. Maybe there was a little shift, a little, I don't know, something. So what we're doing when we're doing this simple thing is that we are triggering the parasympathetic nervous system. And the parasympathetic nervous system is the partner system to the nervous system. This is called the rest and digest. So this is where our bodies actually start to rest and digest, meaning that Pokeball that you had for lunch, we will start to eat that one, then the body will start to absorb it, take all the nutrition that we need, and start to build muscle mass again. So this is where we would also get reflective and get creative, because our brain starts to calm down from all of those pee and run signals. So this is something that is very, 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 very good for us. And this is also, at the end of the day, this is the state where you would actually meet people, when you would see people, and where we would be able to listen to people. So triggering this is something that we should all learn to do quite often, because we are in a high-paced world. But let me give you an example that you might have experienced. I know for a fact that I have multiple times. So you have a stressful day in the office, and there's 2,000 things to do, and you have this problem that you need to solve, and you don't really know how to solve it. And then you're coming home, and you start to do something that is not work, or something that relaxes you, something that makes you think about something else. Maybe it's video games, cooking food, running, hanging out with your kids or your pets, I don't know, whatever makes you happy. And then suddenly, boom, the solution to that problem that you had, it just simply comes to you, because that is how our brain works. When we are relaxing our brain and letting it stop firing all of those common paths and everything, we start to make new connections, and we start to see things differently. And most often, this is also where we can get really creative. So my point here is that we need to take responsibility for this as product managers. And we need to, firstly, we just need to calm down. We as people, first step, calming down. Everything does not have to be done at the same time. It's rather about doing the right thing at the right time. And for that to be figured out, we need to calm down. And we need to then lead by good example. So we need to set environments where people can also be creative and finding the best solutions. Imagine that your whole team, your developers, your designers, all of these people with beautiful, brilliant brains had time to think about things and come up with the best solutions. Magic could happen. I don't know. This is something that is really, really interesting. So as a product manager, we are everywhere within the company. We talk to everybody from stakeholders to finance, business, marketing, customers, all of these people. And when we are stressed, we are also stressing other people out. And for us to be able to give this direction and this focus and creating this environment, we do have to be able to listen, and we need to be able to trust our gut, and we need to be able to make the right decision on how to solve the problems and be creative at the same time. So there's a lot of pressure on this, and this is important. The name of this talk is called Do No Harm, and this actually comes from ahimsa, which is a Sanskrit word for one, I think it's the first one of how, like, philosophical guidelines of how to live. And first time I read about this, it really hit me, because do no harm, or other translations might be non-violence, or be kind, or simply don't be an asshole. And I think that with the society that we live in, we are encouraging quite a lot of harm into our world in terms of stress and high achievement. And this is a fast-pacing world that we're living in. The technology needs to go, and it needs faster and up and more, and there's all of these things. And I think that we should all practice a little bit of kindness towards ourselves and not doing harm at the end of the day. And I especially think that people within companies such as us that are touching so many points and so many departments within the whole business need to take extra responsibility for this, and not just for the sake of of ourselves being harmed by this behavior, but also for the sake of others and our customers and our product. So how do we do this? I mean, I know that change is not always a super easy thing, and it's also very difficult to change everything at the same time. But you could change small things with yourself to actually create a better working environment for yourself, but also for others. And then we can talk about changing the world and in another talk maybe. So first things first, this is the 3 conscious breaths that we did before. This is something that is completely life-changing if you start to do this. So every time you remember to breathe, stop for 3 breaths and just be present with those breaths. And do encourage other people to do this. It's very easy, but it is snapping you out of that high stress, and it's going to take you to a much more calmer and creative place. Practicing one thing at a time, almost impossible in our day and age. But making sure that you actually, if you need to think about something, make sure that you get space to think about it. Use paper and a pen, different tools to get creative. Allowing people to also be able to focus on one thing at a time. Make space for non-disturbing time when you're not allowed to talk to each other, or you can only talk about one thing at a time. Just create space where one thing at the time is where to go. And this is, I know it's ironic coming from a screen to another, but try to limit your screen time. And try to do it differently. Rather, maybe use this pen and paper for drawing something up rather than using the screen and all the beautiful programs that we have to do these things. Maybe you actually do a phone call with someone rather than sitting and looking at the screen. I mean, take a walk at the same time. Give your brain a break from what it normally does, so it can create new paths and new highways in your brain to connect to different things. And lastly, probably the biggest one here is to laugh. And do create an environment where laughing is something that is appreciated. Humor is good. And this is something that is really good for our body. And so let me take you back to the tiger here. So imagine back again, you're walking on the street, casually minding your own business, turning a corner, and bam, there's this tiger, body on high alert, trying to your body is getting up and it's adrenaline pumping, heart starts to beat really fast, and then you realize it's a billboard. It's not a tiger, it's not going to eat you, it's just a billboard. Usually what your body does then is like a sigh and then maybe you laugh a little bit and all of these things. And this is actually your body's natural way of snapping you out of this parasympathetic nervous system and giving you air and breathe at the same time. So this is something that is not just important because we should not take life too serious or ourselves too serious. We should laugh about things, but it's also actually really physically good for us. So try to do that whenever possible. And that was it from my side. And I thank you all for listening in. And there will be vouchers if you want to try our service at Outfittery, and you can contact me either directly on my email, that will also be, I guess, on my profile, and also on LinkedIn. Feel free to hook me up if you want to know more about our service, know more about how you can change stressful ways of living or whatever. I'd be happy to talk about it more. And if not, I wish you a good day.